Alright, guys. Well, usually when I hear the name Al Green, I think of this guy. And that Al Green, quite possibly one of my favorite singers of all time. But one of my favorite politicians of all time might now be this Al Green. Because while other Democrats seem to be struggling to find their voice, certain Democrats like Jasmine Crockett and Al Green here have taken the lead and gotten out and actually did something about what is going on. And so far, yeah, it's mostly been just words, but at least they're doing something. Because the Democratic Party as a whole seems to be taking the let's sit around and wait for this to blow over strategy, and that's just not really my style. And for his efforts, Al Green here got censored by the Republican Congress along with 10 spineless ass coward Democrats. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But first, I want you guys to listen to Al Green here talk about what he did and why he did it.
Well, thank you for allowing me to explain things to the public. I am a person who believes that if you do something and there are consequences, you have to be prepared to suffer the consequences. I was at the joint session of Congress. I spoke when the speaker insisted that I should not. And I was saying to the president, you don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid. He had just said he had a mandate. And I repeated that because there are many people in my congressional district who need Medicaid. And I have to fight for them and stand up for them to make sure that they get health care. The speaker asked that I be removed. I then obeyed. I went with the officers. They were very kind to me, by the way. And so I had to come to the well. And I did. But I didn't say that I agreed with what he was going to do because I said I would accept the consequences of my action. John Lewis and I were in jail together. And one of the things that he called to my attention about protesting is you get in the way, you're going to have to create a disturbance. He called it get in the way. But when you do, be prepared to suffer the consequences. So the consequence was that I would come to the chamber and stand and receive the censure. And in receiving it, honestly, in a moment, I was inspired for whatever reasons to sing We Shall Overcome, because that was the anthem that we had in the 60s when we were dealing with a lot of adversity. And I did. So the question becomes, why would I engage in this level of incivility in the House at a time when I'm being censured? Well, here is why. When the president was giving his message to the joint session of Congress, he called Democratic members of Congress lunatics. This is the president on national TV calling members of Congress lunatics. That was incivility. They were there and they were being civil. He used his incivility to take advantage of their civility. I was responding to the president's incivility. My incivility was a righteous incivility to protect Medicaid. His incivility was to demean people, to call a senator with
Spot
a
on.
pejorative, to say to members, you're lunatics. He uses incivility in a negative. I use it for a positive.
So look, first of all, to hear from a dude like Al Green talking about John Lewis, who is a icon when it comes to protesting and working for people's civil rights, like to hear that him and Al Green had been in a jail cell together should be all the street credit you need. I've always said about Bernie Sanders, one of the things about Bernie Sanders that has always made me feel like he was a real one was that there are literal pictures of Bernie Sanders doing sit-ins where he is using incivility to work for equal rights for other people. And I love what Al Green says here. The idea that we can't sit here and let them be uncivil and let them talk the way they do to the Democrats, talk the way they do to our veterans, talk the way they do to the people that make up over 50% of this country. Righteous incivility has a place in this atmosphere. And when Donald Trump decides that he's going to call the left-wing lunatics and they choose not to respond, let me tell you something. That speaks volumes to people like me and you, because their silence is their acceptance, and I do not accept. We all know about the years of Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene interrupting Joe Biden over and over and over again. We all know about the years of disinformation and misinformation that have now been spread on Twitter, and you cannot be silent and accept those things. As Al Green pointed out here, this is the type of attitude that Democrats had during the 60s. And I've said this multiple times before. Democrats need to find that attitude again. We cannot sit here and be quiet. We cannot wait for this to blow over. 4 years from now, it will be too late. And there are people within the party that still try to ride this line of civility because they think that Republicans, specifically MAGA Republicans, are going to reciprocate. I got a news flash for you. They're not going to reciprocate. They're going to continue to break those rules, and they're going to do it with a smile on their face, and they're going to laugh in yours. So let's talk a little bit about these 10 Democrats that chose to side with these Republicans. So we have here 10 Democrats join with Republicans to censure Rep. Al Green for Trump speech protest. 10 Democrats joined with House Republicans on Thursday to censure Rep. Al Green for his protest during President Donald Trump's address to Congress this week, a formal condemnation of the Texas Democrats' actions. The vote highlights divisions within the Democratic Party over how some members protested the president's remark. Locked out of power in Washington, Democrats are searching to find a compelling, unified message to counter Trump and the new administration, a struggle playing out not only on Capitol Hill, but across the country. Divergent tactics were on full display during the Tuesday night address, with some Democrats holding signs, walking out, or boycotting it altogether. Others took a more muted approach, following the guidance of House Democrat leadership, who had urged members not to mount high-profile protests and to show restraint during the address, cautioning that the GOP could seize on those actions. No, they're not going to seize on your actions. They're going to seize on your silence. Because what people want to see right now is they want to see you doing something, anything at all. Once considered rare in the House chamber, censure has been used more frequently in recent years. It amounts to a significant rebuke of a member of Congress, though it does not carry an explicit penalty beyond a public admonition of a lawmaker and is not as severe as expulsion. So who were these 10 spineless Democrats that chose to censure Al Green? Here they are. The 10 Democrats who voted with Republicans to censure Green were Ami Bera of California. If you're in California, guess what you need to do? Ed Case of Hawaii. If you're in Hawaii, guess what you need to do? Jim Costa of California. Yeah, a couple people in California looks like they need to get primaried. Laura Gillen of New York, Jim Himes of Connecticut, Chris Houlihan of Pennsylvania, Marcy Kaptur of Ohio, Jared Moskowitz of Florida. Jared, I'm looking at you, Jared. Marie Glusenkamp Perez of Washington, and Tom Suozzi of New York. And what did they have to say about these actions? I don't mind being one of 10 Democrats who said no. There's a deeper principle at stake here, which is reverence for this institution, Himes said, adding that lawmakers need to act with the decorum and with the civility that says to the world that we are a serious country. I think we're beyond that, Himes. I think we're past that. It's absolutely insane for Democrats to be looking across the aisle right now and saying, you know, they're acting like complete and utter fools, fucking clowns right now. But you know what? You know what we should do? We should be the adults in the room. This is that Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high bullshit, and I'm not with that. You know, Jon Stewart actually called this out a while back. He said something that really applies to this situation right here. He said, during Obama's administration, at the end, when he was trying to push through a Supreme Court justice, Mitch McConnell stepped in and blocked that. He stepped in and he said, can't let him do this. He's pushing it through. And you know what? You know what Democrats did? Democrats said, well, there is a rule against it. You know, somebody said, well, there's a loophole. And they said, well, if we use loopholes, then they'll use loopholes. I mean, that's just bad for us and bad for the country because it's going to make us look unserious. And then what happened in Trump's administration when he wanted to push through a Supreme Court justice and the Democrats stood up and they said, hey, hold on. Remember, there's a rule against that. Republicans looked at him and went, yeah, there's a loophole too. And Democrats were like, oh my God, you can't use that. We didn't use it. You shouldn't use it. And they're like, yeah, you can go fuck yourself. And then they did it anyways. That's what decorum and civility gets you. Most of the 10 Democrats are considered centrists in the party and belong to either the Blue Dog Coalition, the New Democrat Coalition, or the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus. Oh my God, those names! The number of Democrats supporting the measure surprised some in the party who had been expecting more unity. No shit. So you mad? Now what you gonna do about it? And of course, Moses Mike said, he deliberately violated House rules, and an expeditious vote of censure is an appropriate remedy. Any Democrat who is concerned about regaining the trust and respect of the American people should join House Republicans in this effort. Yeah, so once again, you're letting the Republicans gaslight you into fracturing with your whole party. That's what these 10 Democrats did. The left seems like they will never learn. It's time to get your shit together, guys. This is giving some real Kristen Sinema, Joe Manchin vibes right now. And I think it's time for Democrats and the constituents to wake up and recognize that if the people that are involved in this current conflict with Donald Trump aren't capable of standing up and speaking for the voters, then it's time to find somebody who can. Because the old ways, they ain't working anymore. And it's time for new blood to get in there and fight a fight that Republicans have made. This is them incurring this incivility, and it's time for Democrats to wake up and say, you know what? When they go low, we'll meet them there and we'll beat them there. But you guys knew that, like, we weren't going to do this video without big up in a small voice. So I wanted to share a couple videos from Pardon Me with P, who has done a great job and deserves a shout out. This is a video called Why is Everybody Acting So Scared of Donald Trump? Stop Pissing Me Off. And this is, we're going to jump to a part right here where this is a activist telling people how they feel that they can resist in this current situation.
Just real quick, when we think about the word resist, right? We often think about outward resistance. But I want to challenge us all to start with resistance from the inside. What does that look like? Resist your norms to be quiet. Because a lot of us don't understand why we're in such utter chaos. Like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on is we've been quiet for too long.
Exactly.
We've been nice. We've been like, oh, I just want to. No, that's wrong, and stop it. Think about that, right? Start within yourself. To know who you are, to know that your voice matters. Survivors speak. We are all surviving this chaos right now. So what do survivors do? We speak.
Exactly. She gets it. She understands. And you know who else understands? Pardon Me with P. And this is Pardon Me with P calling those 10 Democrats to let them know that he's upset with the job that they've done so far.
Do you want to know why the call volume is off the charts? It's because Chrissy is down there voting to censor fellow Democrats. Why would you censor Al Green and all he doing is standing up for Medicaid? Medicaid that people need to live. You clearly see that rights are being taken away from folks every day. People are fired. Federal freezes. We don't have nothing that we are supposed to have. And you're voting to censor the only person who was trying to speak up for us? Chrissy, get it together.
You've reached the United States Capitol Switchboard.
Marcy Captor.
Connecting you to the Office of Representative.
Marcy Captor. Hello, this is Congressman Marcy Captor's office. How may I help you?
Hi, I'm trying to call and find out why did Marcy vote to censor Al Green when all he did was stand up for Medicaid? Is she a Republican?
Oh, I certainly can't speak on behalf of the Congresswoman, but I'd be happy
Oh,
to
you
write down
can't?
any comments that you might have and pass them along to the Congresswoman.
Yes, what I need you to do, I need you to tell Marcy that she needs to get serious. Clearly you see Trump is wreaking havoc on everyone. Federal freezes, Medicaid is cut, people don't have the things that they need to live and survive, and you're voting to censor the only person who was standing up for his constituents. That's a problem for me. And I will do all I can to advocate for folks to only vote for people who are sticking up for their constituents. And Marcy is not proving to be one of those people.
Certainly, I have your comments written down, and I will happily pass them along to the Congresswoman.
So there you go. It's time to get serious, and it's time to use your voice, and it's time to use your vote. One thing that MAGA Republicans did right was they put people into office that were going to do the things that they wanted them to do. Have no doubt, this is exactly what MAGA Republicans wanted. So when you say things like, my voice don't matter, my vote don't matter, well, all you gotta do is look right across the aisle to see the evidence that it does. So if you're not out there and you're not supporting people like Al Green, if you're not supporting people like AOC, if you're not supporting people like Frost or Jasmine Crockett, then you're not doing your part. And it's time for all of us to get on the phone and talk to our representatives and let them know that if they're not going to represent us, we're going to find somebody who can. I stand with Al Green. I stand with Jasmine Crockett. I stand with AOC and Bernie Sanders. And me, I'm not about to be quiet. All right, guys. Remember, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and check out that video on the screen now.